up on Morning Drive, it's time for the sports world to turn its attention to the run for the roses. You may know who your picks are for the Kentucky Derby, but what about the Wells Fargo Championship? With Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson and Jon Rahm all in the mix, what dark horses could come out of nowhere to surprise the favourites? But those thoroughbreds aren't the only ones racing to the finish, as the European Tour debuts an event today that puts golfers on a shot clock. All that and more is next on Morning Drive. Yes, good morning. It is Saturday, May 6th, and quite the day of sport we have ahead of us. Kyle Robinson with Paige McKenzie and Charlie Reimer. Lauren Thompson will be with us as well. And saddle up, guys. It's Derby Day. You ready for this?
I am ready for it. I've never been to the Kentucky Derby. I've never really been to any big horse races, but I sure enjoy watching on TV. It looks like it's a lot of fun.
It does, and it's very different than our sport in that, like, I'm used to the 4 days, take your time.
This is a sprint.
It feels like it's over in a heartbeat. You have all day leading into it, and then it's over really quick. So it'll be a fun day for all of us.
There's something else that's a sprint today. We'll get onto that in a minute. But if you're the betting kind, here's a look at the latest odds for the Kentucky Derby. Always Dreaming is now the favourite. Hey, I'm half Irish, so I might go for the Irish war cry. Classic Empire's had quite a bit of coverage leading into this, guys. Who are you picking?
I mean, if I had to pick, I would probably go with the favorite. Always Dreaming. I kind of like that name.
I like the horse names, and we're going to get into that a little bit later on. One of the horses is named Untrapped. I think Luke Donald, the best bunker player in the history of the world, ought to own the horse called Untrapped, because he's the best in the world at getting out of the trap.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Luke, if you're watching, place a little on Untrapped if you can. Not that we're encouraging that kind of behaviour. Let's get straight to what is happening now. And the inaugural edition of the European Tour's Golf Sixes event is already underway at the Centurion Club in England, with the third match of the day having just teed off in the first of 3 sessions today. So let's just remind you how the format works for this unique event. 16 countries are represented by 2-man teams. They are split into 4 groups who compete today. They compete over 6-hole matches using the modified alternate shot format, meaning they both hit a tee ball, choose which one to progress with, and play alternate shot from there. The round robin takes place today, and then the top 2 teams from each of those groups of 4 will advance to quarter-final play that does begin on Sunday. Well, and this is just a taster of what's happening. The modified 6-hole par 24 course will offer a unique feature on every hole. The par 3 first hole will have walkout music for each player and pyrotechnics. Birdies on the par 4 second will benefit the European Tour's charitable initiative, Birdies for Good, and crowd giveaways for each birdie made. The par 5 third will host a long drive competition. The par 4 fourth hole will feature a 40-second shot clock with players penalised 1 stroke for each breach of time. The par 3 fifth hole will have a closest to the hole competition, and the par 5 sixth will feature post-match interviews. So as we give you a little update on what's currently going on the golf course, England versus India, and it's currently 0-0, meaning they have halved the first 2 holes so far. That's Chris Wood, Andy Sullivan, SSP Chowrasia is part of the team from India. So we will continue to keep you updated on what is happening at the Centurion Club, but don't forget, live coverage of Golf Sixes starts at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Golf Channel today. In fact, we're leading you straight into it. So what part of this very different event, guys, Paige, I'll start with you, are you most excited to see?
Yeah, I think most junior golfers have always joked about having a walk-up song. If they were to play golf and music was blaring, what would it be? So I'm actually very excited to see the music on the first tee, to see the 2 big jumbotrons for the fans, to create this more stadium-like environment that you're used to seeing at certain sporting events like baseball or a basketball game.
And you know what? The players are feeling a bit of pressure. I heard some of them talk yesterday saying we've still not nailed down our walkout song. Like, we got to get this right. We may have our own coming up later in the show, by the way. Charlie, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I think what we're looking at might be the future of our game. I know a lot of people that are traditionalists are going, whoa, wait a minute. But, you know, let's say you own a golf course in an urban setting. It's 120 acres. That's a lot of space. That land's worth a lot of money. Let's say you sell 80 of those acres. You got 40 acres left over. Maybe you want to do a 6-hole golf course. Maybe you want to have a couple of stadium holes similar to what we see at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Maybe you want to have the best gym in town. Maybe you want to have the best sports bar in town. Maybe you want want to have a Topgolf type facility. Have all of that in one spot so your customers can use that 51 weeks out of the year, and then maybe 1 week out of the year you have something like this. Maybe it's a web.com tour, maybe it's a PGA Tour event, maybe it's a PGA Tour Champions event. I think this is the type of thing that we're going to see in golf moving forward.
And what I love is these are all legit golf holes as well. On this occasion, they're using 6 holes that are part of an 18-hole course at the Centurion Club, but there's par 3s, 4s, 5s. This is not any short form of golf for the holes that they're playing. Well, we can now welcome in, though, one of the hosts who will be on the live coverage that follows us. She'll certainly be able to tell us more. Anna Whiteley is on the Golf Advisor phone line. Good morning, Anna.
Morning, Cara.
Listen, even though it's a 6-hole format with the matches, the round robin element today means each team will be playing how many holes, Anna?
Exactly. So it's a round robin format. So like you said, our 16 teams have been broken into 4 groups of 4. So today they will all play the other 3 teams in their group. So they'll be heading out 3 times, playing the same 6 holes, but effectively, yeah, they're playing the regular 18 holes. And it's such an exciting layout. The way that they've put the holes together at Centurion Club, it's set out on the regular course that they have here, but they've chosen 6 holes which are very close together. So the fan experience will be amazing because there's particular points where you can stand and you can pretty much see every hole and see the action on 2 different greens on 2 different tees. So the setup is fantastic.
So it obviously has got such a different feel. How have players managed to embrace the format so far this week?
Do you know what? It's nothing that they have ever seen before. There's nothing that they've had to prepare for in previous times. So they are genuinely so excited about it. I haven't heard anything negative about this event so far from the players. I think they are so supportive of Keith Pelley's ambition to innovate golf and to bring new fans to the sport and to bring in the next generation, because let's face it, the regular 72 holes, it just doesn't attract the young new golfer. So they know that this sport has got to move forward. It's got to push into the future, and I think they can see that this is going to achieve just that.
Yeah, it's incredibly impressive, I should say, how daring Keith Pelley is willing to be. The unique features are another wonderful part of this. There's something on every one of the 6 holes. Which one is getting the most attention?
Well, I mean, without a doubt, it's the 4th hole, the shot clock. This has been such a talking point. Slow play, even over the last couple of weeks on the LPGA, on the PGA Tour, this is what everyone has been talking about. The game is just too slow. So for these guys, when they tee it up on the 4th hole today, they will have a huge digital clock in front of them, and they've only got 40 seconds to hit each shot. So as soon as they address the ball, as soon as they walk up to the ball, it's 40 seconds. And if they go over those 40 seconds, it's an immediate 1-shot penalty. So it could see some of the slower players out there, it could see them getting a little hot under the collar, I think, trying to keep to that time limit.
I love it. We cannot wait to watch. All right, Team USA are represented as well, of course. What can we expect from that duo?
Sure. So for Team USA is David Lipsky and Paul Peterson. Now, David Lipsky is on a great run of form at the moment. Just entered the top 100 for the first time in his career, with a 2nd at the Maybank Championship and 5th at the Shenzhen a couple of weeks ago. So he's coming in with a lot of confidence. Paul Peterson, he picked up his first European Tour win last year at the D&D Czech Masters, so he knows what it's like to be a champion out here on the European Tour. The guys have been tweeting about it. They've been all over social media saying how much they're looking forward to playing together, how they're taking on the other 15 teams. Yeah, they are ready to go into battle, I think.
Awesome. We cannot wait. All right, that's all we've got time for right now, but we'll be watching you at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time right here on Golf Channel. Enjoy it, and thanks for joining us, Anna.
Lovely. Thanks, guys.
Okay, well, let's get to what else is happening now. And after a 3-hour weather delay at Eagle Point Golf Club yesterday, the second round of the Wells Fargo Championship was eventually suspended at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Time last night. It was eventually dark by then. Play, though, is set to resume at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. So let's get to some highlights from Friday. And we will start with Phil Mickelson. Charlie, this was his second shot at the 3rd.
This from 94 yards. It's going to be a nice full 60-degree loft wedge. It's going to have a little spin on it. He knows that. He allows for it. That's fun to watch.
Yeah, lovely. That would lead to a birdie. He would shoot 72 and finished at 1 under par. Meanwhile, world number 1 had returned this week, struggling a little bit so far in the second round was Dustin Page. This was a putt to try and save par on the last hole of the day, 13.
Yeah, conditions were very difficult yesterday. High winds. We knew they had a weather delay early due to rain and thunderstorms, but Dustin Johnson just a little out of his element yesterday.
That would be his second bogey of the day. Drops to even par, still with his second round to complete. Meanwhile, Jon Rahm, Charlie birdie chance at 7.
Fast left to right slider. Watch how he takes us in the top of the hole. Very well done.
He would shoot 71 and finishes up at 4 under par total. Meanwhile, JB Holmes, also part of the mix, pitching his third at the par 4 9th.
I mentioned that wind. This pushed his approach shot far right of the green, but when you can pitch like that, doesn't matter. Now watch the guy in the yellow jacket. This I get a kick out of.
He is pumped. He would shoot 64 and he finishes 3 under par. Billy Hurley the third, Charlie his third at 12.
Yeah, this is a good number here for Billy. 84 yards, a perfect lie. He's going to take this right to the bucket. That to about 6 feet behind the hole. Quality golf shot there.
That's a par 5, so that would be a birdie, a 69 for him. He finishes at 5 under. Now Francesco Molinari, this a birdie chance at 10.
One of the characteristics of this putting green is how fast they are, plus when you factor in wind, you can see how that got away from him.
Yeah, that was all kinds of ugly, and it just keeps getting uglier right there. Are you kidding me? 6 feet for birdie and walk away with a bogey? That's what gives tour players nightmares, Cara.
Well, he did have the lead. That dropped him to 5 under, so there is currently a 3-way tie at the top. Billy Hurley birdied 4 of his last 7 holes to post that second round 69, whilst rookie Seamus Power is trying to improve on a career best tie for 21st finish on the PGA Tour. John Peterson and Francesco Molinari, as you can see, still have their second round to still complete, and weather really has been the story of the week so far. Yesterday, winds was really gusting 15 to 20 miles an hour consistently, gusting up to 30 miles an hour. And when you look at today, the wind is still going to be a little bit of a factor, perhaps slightly lower. One good news is there is 0 chance of rain all day long, and by the end of yesterday, Charlie, the golf course had received just under 2 inches of rain. So good to hear there's going to be less rain, but the wind is slightly going to be the same. Who on the leaderboard are you keeping your eye on at this stage?
Well, Jon Rahm for me is the guy. I mean, Jon Rahm has just gotten off to an unbelievable start in his career. 18 professional starts, and when you look at that, he's been third or better in 5 of those starts, including the win out in San Diego. I mean, he is a guy that has as much or more confidence than anybody I've ever been around. And Paige, you know how important confidence is in this game. I think confidence a lot of times is more important than even competence. He has both.
I would agree with that. It's a fearlessness in which he approaches the game, and I think we saw that even before he turned professional, when he was getting these starts on the PGA Tour as an amateur, when he was still in college. He knew he belonged, and he treated it that way, and I don't think he's ever walked into any circumstance with any sort of tentativeness. And when you play professional golf, that is probably one of the most important qualities that you can have, is that you have to walk out there and be confident, self-assured of what you're doing.
It's amazing, even if you go back and look at his college career. I mean, he's known nothing but success. If you look at his junior year at Arizona State, he didn't finish outside the top 10 for the entire season.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, college golf, I mean, we cover it now on Golf Channel, and the level of play is as high as it's ever been, but to go an entire season and not finish outside the top 10, I mean, that's just amazing. And he kept that pace as soon as he turned pro.
What's amazing to me is just how well-rounded his game is. I think, you know, what we're used to seeing and what we've seen over the last 20 years when young players come out onto these professional tours is that there is a weakness. You know, the golf courses are so much more difficult when you get offline. It is more difficult out of the rough and the fairway. You usually miss more greens than you did in college. And so there is an adjustment period because the game does feel a little different or a little more difficult, and there's less room for error when you turn professional. With Jon Rahm, we haven't seen that adjustment period. He's got a well-rounded game.
And one other thing, Cara, I've spent a little bit of time with John. He's really enjoying himself. I mean, he's enjoying, you know, being on tour, being a winner on the PGA Tour. He gets in there and talks some smack with the guys. I've seen him work the range, you know, sort of getting, you know, sharp elbows, going at guys a little bit. I saw him at the Phoenix Open on Sunday morning, get into a Ricky Fowler a little bit. You know, they were chuckling up, talking about who drives it farther. You know, I love seeing a young player get out there and really enjoy the experience. Along, you're learning a lot, but you're also, these guys week in and week out, they're going to be your friends, and you've got to enjoy your work because he's going to be at it a long, long time, and he's off to a great start in that regard as well.
He's a lovely guy. I was lucky to spend some time with him in Austin as well, just ahead of the match play. Well, how well did he do that week? Of course, got himself all the way to the final against Dustin Johnson. But you could tell at the beginning of the week, I asked him at the draw party, what his expectations were. He was just bummed that him and Sergio were in the same group and they couldn't both advance. He obviously advanced. Sergio, a few weeks later, became the Masters champion, so I think he's okay. But no doubt, Jon Rahm has really not needed any time to adjust to life on the PGA Tour. Well, let's transition now to the PGA Tour champions. They're playing the Insperity Invitational over in Texas this week, so let's get some highlights from yesterday. This is Freddie's second at 18.
Yeah, this was a little nasty here. He sort of slapped at that. You can see it was sliding off to the right. He figured it was in the water. Mine, whenever it hits a brick or a wall like that, it doesn't end up someplace dry. But Freddie's ended up in a position, Paige, where he had a pretty good shot to get up and down.
He did. It almost pin high. A very difficult hole location to get to around all of that water, but extremely well executed. In fact, we're going to take a little closer look at that shot in just a minute.
He would shoot a 2 under 70. He's tied 13 and 6 shots off the lead that is currently held by Tom Lehman, and this was a birdie chance for him at 18, Charlie.
Yeah, you see how the grass looks dark. It's growing towards us. That means it's growing away from Tom. It's a downgrain putt. He knows it's going to be fast and release, and he just absolutely had perfect speed on that.
Makes it from off the green. That was his 6th birdie in his opening 9 holes, by the way. And as you can see, Tom Lehman shoots an 8 under par 64. He is the leader by 3. Now, don't forget, for the 6th consecutive year, this tournament will host the 3M Greats of Golf following the final tee time today. That features some of the legends of the game, so you do not want to miss that as we send it back to Charlie and Paige.
And we've got a legend queued up here that we're going to watch and learn from as we take a little closer look at Jay Haas, a man, Paige, who's played more holes on the PGA Tour than anyone else in history. Jay's been at it a long, long time. That means he's smart, he's wily, and what does he do here? He's off the green, he pulls a putter. Go ahead and roll this, guys. A lot of people think that putting a putter in play off a green is a defensive play. Jay's proven that you can play offense from off the green with the putter. Don't ever hesitate about pulling a putter when you're off the green if you have any doubt at all about your ability to use one of these with a lot of loft on it.
I think a lot of people get self-conscious
trying
to pull out putter in front of their friends, but go ahead and do it. If Jay Haas can do it, you certainly can too. Now, Michael Allen out of the bunker. I love this position right here. You can notice how his knees are bowed, slightly open compared to like his stance. This is unique to bunker shots. Typically, when we address the ball, our knees are more pointed straight ahead towards our golf ball. This is actually to reduce the hip turn and create more stability in the lower body. So go ahead and roll this. I love this for bunker shots. I think it's something you can try. Really creates that grounded feeling in that loose surface, and make sure that your upper body is what's actually moving the club.
I've known Michael a long time. I always thought he did that because he likes to ride horses a lot.
Well, it's Kentucky Derby Day, so maybe there was a connection there.
Okay, then here's your man right here.
This is the shot I was referring to. You could tell he's got a lower lofted club. This is probably 9-iron, 8-iron or so to hit this bump and run shot. And I think when we're used to hearing bump and run, people say it's like a putting stroke. Well, take a look at this and tell me if it looks like a putting stroke to you. He's using all hands there. You do not have to use a straight back, straight through stroke when you're hitting a bump and run. It is perfectly okay to go ahead and hinge and release that club. Let that club head fall onto the ball.
He pushed that a little, about 2 or 3 inches. But great points. It's just sort of like he was tossing a ball. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to toss the ball right across Studio AP to LT.
Good throw, Charlie Reimer. I'll go ahead and just catch that in the air, like you toss that in the air to me. All right, more on the PGA Tour champions later, but for now, lots of talk going on for the PGA Tour, swirling about Eagle Point. What a debut for them, with the wind blowing, creating speedy putting surfaces for the players at the Wells Fargo Championship. Tough, right? So coming up, our 2 in-studio pros, they're going to go deep on their best knowledge for you when it comes to really fast greens and everything you need to know. Then we're going to turn our attention to the European Tour this week and the golf sixes, adding loads of excitement, but just 6 holes of match play. With that in mind, the former executive director of the European Tour, Ken Schofield, is ready to weigh in on shorter forms of golf. Is this what the game needs? Would he have considered this when he was in office? Honest opinions are coming ahead. Plus, This loaded weekend in golf is on our hands, and we're going to get you fully caught up on the action in the Dominican Republic and in Mexico. Let's go touring. We're going to cover all the bases with the Web.com Tour and the LPGA and the hottest stories moving into the weekend for them. But for now, Cara, this is a huge weekend in sports on a lot of levels.
It sure is, and today is no exception. It's Derby Day, and so with Kentucky in our minds, we'll ask which golfer you would trust the most coming down the stretch in a major championship. Our answers will be revealed when Morning Drive continues. We're back after this.